What's up, everybody? King of Fomo here, coming at you with your daily crypto update. Today we're going to be talking about Zen Network again. I just wanted to do a bit of an opinion piece on this, just because it's a hot topic. A lot of people seem to be interested in it, so why not throw my opinion in the hat right here for you guys to pull apart, prod, and agree with and completely disagree with altogether. So if you guys aren't aware of what Zen is, we'll talk a little bit about it in this video. And I also want to do something else. I saw another YouTuber do this. I just watched a video about Zen, which is why I'm kind of doing this too. I think his name is like Crypto Expat Life, and I kind of wanted to do this. Kind of sidebar here. I've been super discouraged about a lot of social media stuff with crypto because of the robot revolution. You know how robots have taken over basically all social media when it comes to crypto, and robots comment everything all the time. And you know, you have maybe 5 or 6 robot comments for every one real comment. So I've been pretty discouraged from looking at the comment section, but I'm going to try and do what he did and acknowledge you guys for a change and actually read through some of the comments and maybe delete some of the robot ones while we're at it. So let's read through some of these, kind of copy what he did, and then we'll talk about my opinion on Zen, which might be the same or different than Crypto Expat Life's. So here we have a couple of comments. This is just a quote from Robert Kiyosaki saying, "Don't let the fear of losing be greater than the excitement of winning." And I think that does relate to Zen. You can have a lot of negative views with Zen overall, and I think that the majority of people might have more of a negative view than a positive view. But at the end of the day, it can work out positively. I mean, Zen is pretty similar to what Bitcoin was when Bitcoin started, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a second. But let me read through a few more comments before I get too much into that. This coin just needs a lending market, and it would stay in the top 100 easily. So yeah, I mean, we've seen some coins in the past like BitConnect and a few others back in the 2017-18 days that did really, really well with lending. I'm not so sure if lending will work in today's crypto market. Great stuff on Zen as always. Just made a video on Zen Hex community, which offers some new hope and thoughts. Yeah, a lot of people are comparing Zen to Hex. Personally, I think that they're pretty different projects. I don't really see too much of a comparison between the two. But I will make some comparisons just because other people see them. Probably not. The best thing to do is to make a couple one-day stakes and some long-term ones. Sell the one-day stakes you will have made back your gas fee back plus profit. Yeah, that was probably a really good strategy. For those of you who got or learned about Zen in the very beginning and minted a lot of these on day one, you probably might have been able to sell for a pretty good profit, because I think the price of Zen was grossly overvalued on day one for sure. Let's see, inflation is as K4K said, it's essentially an inflation bug at this point. Hex has much better tokenomics. Again, I don't really see the comparison between Zen and Hex. Like, Hex is a token that you had to purchase, which I think makes it leaps and bounds completely different than Zen. And on top of that, like, Hex does have sort of a giant difference with the way that they distributed their tokens in terms of supply. So I think that just that alone makes it completely different than Hex. But again, we'll make some comparisons to that in a second. But yeah, a lot of comments here. Let's read a couple more. Zen is derivative of BTC mining. You essentially eliminate ASIC miners while reducing the environmental impact and electrical cost. This lazy review of the token was pure trash. Well, I mean, honestly, I don't think that there's going to be a in-depth review of Zen because it is a pretty basic coin. And I agree with what you said in the beginning here, Pete, because it is very similar to Bitcoin, but there's not really much more you can say beyond that or predict beyond that. If you're making predictions for Zen in the future, it's kind of like shooting a fish in the barrel, which is what we're going to do in this video today. And a couple more comments. Sounds like Hex didn't calculate the gas to mint. Yeah, there is gas to mint, and that is a strategy that people have been using. Not sure if this is honestly the best strategy, especially if you did this on a super high gas day to mint from hundreds and hundreds of wallets and pay a giant gas fee from getting a giant amount of Zen. Personally, I don't know if that was a very good idea. It might have been a better strategy to wait until gas prices decrease and then do your giant mint, even if you get kind of hit a little bit with the amount that you're going to get. It might not matter in the long run with 2 or 3 days being 2 or 3 days late with the gas prices. So let's talk about this in a little bit more depth. Just to go over a little bit about this page. Like I said, this is a token where you can mint it for free. It's essentially a free mint token. If you have a wallet, you can create wallets for free. You can create as many wallets as you want, and you can mint as many tokens as you want from those wallets, provided that you pay the gas fee. Another thing is this token is on many different blockchains. So you have Ethereum, BSC, Polygon, Avalanche, Ethereum Proof of Work, Moonbeam, and Evmos. So you can sort of eliminate those massive Ethereum fees by selecting a different network, but you got to keep in mind a lot of other people are thinking the same thing, and you're going to get a lot of dilution from these networks with no fees. So personally, if I'm going to pick anything, I think Ethereum is probably going to be the most valuable, quote unquote, Zen of all of the blockchains. Then you have these terms right here that I didn't talk about before. You have your reward amplifier, which basically means that the amount of Zen that you're going to get if you do decide to mint some of these tokens decreases every single day. There's a lot more involved with this. I'm not going to get too much into the actual equations for this because, again, I don't think that matters too much if the token is completely free to mint. But that's how it works is over time, you're going to be able to mint less. Now I can make the comparison to Bitcoin. Right here, which is a lot of people in the comments section also mentioned. Zen is very much like Bitcoin. When Bitcoin first launched, like the day one, week one of Bitcoin, everyone in the entire world could have mined Bitcoin very easily just from hooking it up to their computer and setting up their miner. And you could have essentially gotten an unlimited amount of Bitcoin from doing this. There were even things like Bitcoin faucets where you could get Bitcoin for free just from clicking a button, or cookie clickers, similar to that. And very much like Zen, it was essentially free because nobody else was mining. The difficulty for mining Bitcoin was incredibly low, and it was definitely doable for a lot of people. And many people from day one have tons and tons of Bitcoin, and it paid off massively for them. And of course, over time, over the past couple of years, 10 years or so, we've had a massive increase in difficulty, a massive increase in miners, and just a massive dilution of people trying to mint the token. Bitcoin. And what that means is so much less Bitcoin is given to the people that really want to get it from mining or these quote unquote free methods, which are no longer free because of the cost of electricity and mining setups and all of that stuff. Zen is similar to that, but a little bit different in the fact that it doesn't destroy the environment. It's not going to cost you an arm and a leg to set up a miner to do this, but it is sort of set up in a way with the equations of this as to where you're going to be making less, a lot less, over the next 8 years or so. If you wait way later to mint Zen, just like with Bitcoin, if you waited way later to get into Bitcoin, you're just going to get less of it, less value, less bang for your buck. From being late to the game. So that's essentially how this thing works in a nutshell. So some positives, like I said, it's free for everyone to do, and it's really, really free on other blockchains that aren't Ethereum. But some of the caveats are, because it is so free, there's going to be a huge number of tokens, and there's going to, well, not really a huge number of tokens, but there's going to be a huge number of people doing minting for these Zen tokens. And that's going to dilute the supply for you a lot, unless you are doing the strategy and you're really crossing your fingers hard and making hundreds of wallets, eating that gas fee, and getting a lot of Zen tokens, betting big on the bank like people did when Bitcoin first came out. And it might be really, really successful, or it might fail completely. Now, another thing to mention here is just the interest level. So this is something that most people are saying is an experimental, quote unquote, experimental project. Now, the problem with that, this is just my opinion. There have been so many cryptos, especially in the past 2 years, that have been quote unquote experiments, experimental community type projects. They're just not unique anymore. Honestly, we could probably see something else similar to Zen come out within the next week or month, and it wouldn't surprise me if it was a better, more fleshed out idea that people jumped onto more. And that's, I think, one of Zen's biggest kind of weaknesses, is being forgotten. If something else does come out and people are more interested in it than Zen over the next 8 years, which is kind of how long this is going to have to take before this thing really does establish a value. If people lose interest and their minds or attention spans go somewhere else instead of Zen, it's going to really hurt the project, because again, at the end of the day, it's going to require some demand. And that's just the way that all markets work. If there's no demand, there's no price and there's no value in your token whatsoever. And like I said, I think that that is the biggest weakness for Zen and Hex and a lot of these other tokens where you can just mint them sort of for free or stake them and just wait and they don't have any utility, is the fact that it's experimental. So many other experimental things have come out, are coming out, and will come out. And if any of them get the attention of the majority and people flock over to there and forget about this, then like I said, they're going to forget about this, and you can forget about this having any type of value. So that, I think, is Zen's biggest weakness. There's just, and the other thing to mention in terms of that, like with the quote-unquote experimental community way that they want their token to be marketed, I mean, the thing is, like, lightning doesn't strike 10 times at the same time in the same place. And you know, we had it work with Dogecoin, we had it work with Shiba Inu, with SafeMoon, with Ohm, and a few other kind of meme community based coins where you had massive uprisings. But in my experience, if you try to emulate the same thing as someone else, or a very similar concept as someone else, in this case a lot of people are comparing Zen with Hex, and you can compare Zen with things like Shiba Inu or just other community coins where you're just crossing your fingers and hope the community stays with it for a long time. If you try to emulate the same thing, 90% of the time you do just a little bit worse, right? And someone else does the same thing and they do a little bit worse, and someone else does the same thing and they do a little bit worse. And we're getting to the point where we're seeing so many of these quote-unquote experimental projects where it's going to get so much worse that it'll fade out of everyone's attention spans very quickly. So definitely do be careful if you're planning on doing a massive mint and paying a massive amount of gas fees with those things in mind. And then finally, relevance. I do think that things like this, your Shiba Inu, your Doge coins, your meme coins, and your community based, let's just hope the community makes this have value later type of coins, are going to fade out of existence. I think that whole phase of crypto is going to be way harder in the next 5 to 10 years. And that's because we're getting to the point in crypto where value and utility will actually matter, where we might see the top 100 coins be coins that aren't jokes. Right now, a lot of them are jokes, but you know, we're building a lot of utility on coins that might get adopted where they're not going to be jokes, and people are going to put their hard-earned money in not things that are leaps and bounds more successful and not as jokey or just like, you know, Hail Mary like as what we're seeing here. So those are the pretty big negatives for Zen, that in my opinion. But of course it is quote unquote experimental. Maybe it'll work out in the end, but personally I have low, very low expectations that this is even going to remain relevant for more than a couple weeks. I honestly think that this thing might drop off the planet pretty soon here. So that's my opinion on Zen. I know a lot of people are interested in learning more about it, and you know, I'm just trying to create some more content for you guys to absorb, and not really focus on the profitability side of things, but more on the news side of things, because crypto doesn't always have to be super profitable every day. You know, we're taking a little bit of a break from that and doing things a lot more passively. I just talked about the debt box in my last video. I can talk about Evmos, and I've been DCAing into Evmos, and that's been working out fantastically. I've been buying Evmos at 140 every time, and it's been pumping to the moon. And you know, the staking is really good for that too. But there's a lot of other coins like that. We can talk about those in other videos. I just wanted to give you guys an update on this and my opinion on this. Definitely leave some comments on the video. I will try to read through them and maybe do some more stuff like this where we reference back to other videos and read the comments and delete some of the robot stuff and hopefully clean up this space. Man, I really hope that social media solves that problem, because robots are way too easy to make and to send out right now in every platform. Telegram, Twitter, Discord, YouTube, TikTok. Man, I'm sure you see it too. That's everything for today. We won't talk about robots in this video. I'll catch you in the next video. Like, comment, subscribe, and if you're not a Patreon, consider becoming a Patreon to get access to my videos up to 2 days early, as well as bonuses and other stuff, especially when crypto starts becoming a little bit more popular. There's going to be a lot more value for that. But if you just want to support me, head on over to Patreon. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.